Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes? Welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who kept us going for over 500 episodes.
Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Queasy Jam.
Thank you, Queasy Jam. Queasy, right?
Yeah, Queasy. Oh, did I like cut out?
No, well, a little bit, but I mean, I just thought, Queasy Jam, not, you know what? Never mind.
Squeezy.
I was thinking of another Q word there, but
ooh. Oh, okay. Well, Happy New Year, everybody.
Don't want to have one of those.
Happy New Year. For some of you, when this comes out, it might be full New Year. If you're in
New Year. Yeah.
Japan or Australia, I think this will probably, right? They're 12 hours. Japan's 12 hours ahead of us. Right?
16
hours ahead of us. Yeah. So for some of you, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Hope you got your resolutions ready. Do you have a good resolution? Do you do resolutions?
Not really, but if I have any resolutions, it's probably, I'm not going to say like, I'm going to start working out more. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to eat better. I've already started a little bit, but like my problem is always like you start with the best intentions and you do well for about 3 days and then you lose it. Eat better, eat more, cook myself more. Yeah, I've been cooking my own tacos and stuff lately, so eat better. Eat better. Like honestly, like I got really bad in like November this year where I learned the ultimate decadence that was DoorDash. And I racked up an enormous bill, and it wasn't even like every all day every day. It was just like, dude, DoorDash sucks. It's like it is truly the devil's handiwork.
I'm good. I won't do it. So, I've found if I force myself to face inconvenience, I actually cook at home way more.
Yeah. So that's my if anything resolution goal. I'm just going to eat better. We'll see what happens with the working out, but like let's just eat better. Let's eat like food. Eat food that's going to go bad real quick if you don't eat it, because I think that's kind of where my headspace is right now with it's like all these diets and this and that or whatever. A lot of it is just kind of like, no, what's good for you? Food that goes bad before it goes bad.
You
fresh food,
the more preservatives and stuff in it. Yeah, what is it?
Dan, get away from processed stuff.
Dan says this, and I actually used this in a scene in the manga. But it's just eat food, mostly plants, some animals too. Like that's it. That's all you gotta have for it.
Eat real food.
Yeah,
just eat real food, mostly plants and some animals too.
Yeah, I think my main resolution is that I want to take my dog on more adventures. I want to get him out. Get him going. I'm gonna buy an old beater and fix it up so that I have just like an old beater truck or something like that I don't care about, and I'm gonna take Doug on random adventures, avoiding ticks, of course.
Yeah, that's not going to do the ticks. Well, you should.
But this is our year in review. 2025 was a weird year for the gaming industry.
Weird's
putting it nice. It was a shit year for the gaming industry.
Yeah, and I feel like we say one thing, we're going to go down a tangent. So I'm just going to try to, without going into details, the big three. Xbox basically died this year.
Yeah.
That's covered. Sony scrambled. I wouldn't say they had a bad year, but like Marathon, they had the big Marathon.
They floated. They stayed alive, but
yeah, they kind of screwed up. But like they had a not great year where they had to raise console prices. They had to super delay Marathon. Marathon kind of got killed before it was even born. Like our creators kind of put it, like basically performed a game industry abortion on Marathon. They got caught stealing art. All that stuff. It's coming out now in March for $40, but it might be too late, honestly.
We'll see. I wish I was still amped for it.
Yeah, like I said, Xbox died. Sony had a bad year, but it was like a quiet bad year. Sony was like the neighbor you never hear about, quietly having issues inside the home.
Sony is still somehow treading water and alive, but it was far from a year that I would say like this was far from Sony's.
Wasn't a
best year.
standout year for the year.
Yeah.
And then Nintendo is kind of like the emperor's new clothes a bit with them. Now Nintendo's not doing bad, but we're recording.
Yes, I would say they're the only ones doing good.
I want to remind everyone we're recording this podcast on December 30th, 2025. I was in a department store today. There were Switch 2s. There were a lot of Switch 2s. There was even a good stack of unsold Mario Kart World bundle Switch 2s. This is after Christmas.
Oof.
This is no longer the holiday season. The holiday season's over. Okay. This store, from what I could tell, same store, never ran out of Switch 2s.
So either they overproduced or
which they did produce a
low.
lot, but they had Switch 2s in September, they had them in November, they have them on December 30th. They even have the bundles on December 30th. Which I can say in November I didn't see any Mario Kart bundles, just base Switch 2s. Now they have bundles. Nintendo did announce that they reaffirmed, reconfirmed. They're done with the Mario Kart bundle. Like whatever the current batch is that's out there, they're not going to do it anymore. So that game's just going to be an $80 game. And this is getting to that. Okay, at what point is this actually a problem? And again, Nintendo's doing fine, because the thing is the Nintendo fanboys who will die for a corporation. They love to tell you how fast the system is selling. It's the fastest selling system of all time, yada, yada. And that's all true. But the other thing we can also look at, though, more specifically, is they're doing fine. But, they don't have, say, Mario Kart World's not the best selling game of the year. At least in North America. It's actually true in other parts of the world. But, like, at least in North America, Mario Kart World's not the best selling game of the year, right? I don't, from what we can see, what we can tell, because Nintendo likes to keep its digital sales private until they announce it themselves. It doesn't look like things besides Pokemon Zaza sold spectacularly well. Like the Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, and Kirby Air Riders, and probably Metroid Prime 4, to be honest. We don't know. The game came out this month, but they're probably all not going to do super well numbers wise.
Yeah, this is one of those years though where it's like I don't think anybody did I don't think anyone did as well as they thought they were going to do this year.
Yeah, except like the really cheap indie games. A great year, by the way. Great year for indie games on Steam.
Yeah.
So making quick $8, $5 to $10 games and selling them and making huge profit. Great year for stuff like that.
Deltarune came out this year. Hollow Knight Silk Song came out this year.
Hades 2.
Oh, right. Yeah, Hades 2 did really well. Yeah, it was a good year for indies.
Indies had a really good year. I mean, some people in Blueprints, of course, people still debate back and forth about Clair Obscur, whether it's indie or not. I don't think it is, but it's definitely AA. It's not AAA. It's definitely not a AAA product. It's not doesn't have a AAA budget, but
it did very well.
Yeah. So this was a year for the small guy, which is good. So that's a positive. The end of the year is getting really screwy with the RAM prices and the uptick in AI bullshit.
Yeah.
So
can't wait for that to all come home to roost.
It's actually making things really uncertain. Like this is not even for 26, but for 27, actually 27 and beyond. There's now rumors coming about that Sony is likely to delay the PS6 out of the 27 holiday season because RAM prices are so absurd. And I'm like, sure, good. I mean, to me, I'm like, oh, okay, good. Like you clearly haven't done any, enough with your PS5, let alone your PS5 Pro. So
yeah, have they said anything justifying why they need a new generation besides money?
Well, I think money. I think the idea is that like once you're 7 years into a console's life, like it starts to really stagnate, and even the biggest releases aren't really pulling in the numbers they used to. So, that happened because the PS3 360 generation, one of the longest console generations we had, like up to that point, um, the industry started to really stagnate at the end there, and there was a lot of like, oh my god, please make a new system, because people were holding on to the 360 PS3 generation as long as they could. And yeah, things were just kind of, it was just sort of like a sort of like the PS4, really kicked things back up. Like it's a revitalization. It's like,
Right.
to for me to go back to the sort of like a theme park analogy, where you have a theme park and it's great, and it's just operating, but it's like it just starts to stagnate because everyone's been there, everyone's been on the rides. What do you do to sort of revitalize it? You build new rides, theme park coaster, or any of those theme park sims. You know what I'm talking about. You gotta,
yeah.
you kind of gotta like refresh. You kind of like gotta bring something new in. So the idea is that, okay, 7 years is a long time. It used to be, you remember this, consoles used to be 5 years.
Yeah.
5 years, new console. It was like a 5 year, half a decade plan.
Granted, it felt longer as a kid. 5 years felt so long.
And then it got pushed really like a lot longer with PS3 and then even PS4. So yeah, like PS5 is it's over. PS5 hit the 5 year mark, just hit the 5 year mark, which like back in the 90s, this would have been sunsetting this year, and a new console would be coming out. But they're talking like, okay, well, 7 years, but now they're saying that's too soon, and I say it's too soon, because financially, whatever, like, okay, like project management being the big issue here. Naughty Dog has not made a new game since Last of Us on PS4.
Yeah, they're gonna miss the entire console generation.
Like as it's planned right now, Intergalactic. Now, granted, I know there were remasters and remakes of Last of Us Part 1 in there, but that wasn't even a project they started. It's a project they finished or overtook. I don't know how much of a regardless, they have not made a new game since 2020, and their next new game is scheduled for probably 27 if it hits that. Yikes.
I wonder if a pandemic will hit just as that comes out too, so that I can just play through all of that stuck at home.
Yeah.
Do you think do you think we'll get another pandemic right around the time that Last of Us 3 comes out?
Honestly, my cynical butt is all like, if there's another massive pandemic, nobody will listen. Like it will just be the world will rebel, and way more people will die because of it. And people, as long as people aren't dropping dead like zombies around them, people will still just keep doing what they want to do regardless. And it like 2 to 3 times as many people will die, and people will still feel like it's a hoax.
I forget. There was some number that was like touted as like that certain 1 in 100 or 1 in some, to where like if that number starts dying, that is when everyone will feel the effects, the horror, the grief. Like, but I can't remember what that other larger, and it's actually not that crazy of a number, right? It's not like 1 in 20. It's like 1 in 1,000 or something. Like it's just enough where like everyone knows someone personally who has died from this thing.
Well, our species is so dumb that like you really would have thought the last time would have been enough, but apparently it wasn't. So,
well, yeah, there's enough people. We did some dumb things. Like there were dumb things that didn't have to be done, that made everything worse in terms of closing down national parks as though people are like going in giant groups,
right? Yeah,
closing down public beaches where people are
either way. Like regardless of even just that particular thing, I mean, I'm just saying our species is stupid.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah.
We're incredibly bright, but we're incredibly dumb. A person is smart. A group is dumb, and people are dumb, panicky, scared animals, and you know it.
Oh, Tommy Lee Jones. Someone
For a summer blockbuster movie, that has one of the most powerful quotes.
well, great. I mean, it pretty much encapsulates a lot of people's feelings about groups of people in general, like just people in a group. But okay, so the year has been weird. Let's start on a high note. What was your biggest letdown this year,
My
and why
biggest
was it Death
letdown.
Stranding 2?
Ooh, no, actually, Monster Hunter Wilds. That was my biggest letdown this year.
You know, I should have known you were going to say that. I suspected you were going to say that.
Like, not only was there optimization issues, which we kind of figured out, like, you know, as it was the week of, we figured out how to like frame gen and make it kind of work and run okay and all that. We made it work, made it happen. Even if you get past the poor optimization, and it was poor optimization, and it was, the warning signs were there in Dragon's Dogma 2. We weren't listening to it, but the RE engine does not do open world. Like, they have tried twice on one decently sized project and one massive project, the sequel to their biggest selling game of all time. And, you know, you probably had all the companies, you know, faith behind this project, and it didn't work because the RE engine does not do open world. Capcom made a really cool engine, but it is not an open world engine.
Well, you think that would have been obvious?
Yeah,
Trying to give it because the ways that it optimized performance was how it optimized textures in, you know, in loading and stuff.
Yeah, how it streamed data, you know.
Yeah, like but like I'm thinking of that example that was used of like the books on bookshelves will be textures rather than 3D objects, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of mixed stuff works great for halls and rooms and stuff. It doesn't necessarily give you any benefit when you have big wide open spaces.
Yeah, and part of me must have thinks of how frustrating it was, because like I have to imagine the programming, like the programming side of Capcom, the engineers were like, God, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. There's no solution, because they could, like, the thing is, what they could have and should have done was make just kind of like a more upgraded sequel to Monster Hunter World, you know, a zoned off, sectioned off sequel. But Capcom was, no, we're making Monster Hunter Wilds. You're going to be out in the big wild, and you're going to have like real time weather changes and seasonal changes in real time. So Capcom, the whatever, from the beginning, their promise was, we're going to have this big thing, but it's like they didn't have the engine to do it. And I don't know when they realized it or whatever, or maybe they did. Maybe there was, you know, honestly, it could have been as bleak as like the Sugimoto family or whoever, like, because they're the owner's son is in charge of Monster Hunter. Could have literally been like, oh no, we need to have an open world Monster Hunter, and like, sir, we don't have the engine, make it happen. And like, it could have been as bleak as literally like, no, one of the heads of Capcom was like, this is what we're doing, even before it was publicly announced. It could have been that bleak, where it's like, no, this is my vision, this is where we go, this is how we do it, this is what the industry wants, this is what the mass market craves. Big open world Monster Hunter. They don't want another sectioned off, you know, like zone, or like, you know, bottlenecks, you know, like wide area to like bottleneck to wide area to bottleneck to wide area. They want a big open world Monster Hunter.
My question has always been like, is open world that big of a selling point still?
No. And
because in the early 2000s, open world was truly like, oh shit.
Like, yeah, you know, well, there was the new factor of it, but the problem is that I'm gonna say, here's like a weird take. I don't know if it's hot and mild or what, but tell you zesty. Open world map design is way harder than normal map design.
Yeah,
I think in the end, just making things big and wide open isn't like, maybe that was unique
if you want it to be memorable. Yeah,
25 years ago, this might have been kind of cool. 25 years ago, 20 years ago, but I think, you know, the further we get from games like, you know, even Ocarina of Time, which was you know, a hub area, a big central hub, you know, which is what Metroid Prime did, and people don't like that either. But the fascination, the newness, the ooh, it's so big and fast, that's worn off, and that wore off a while ago. And now it's kind
Yeah.
of like if your map design for your large open world environment isn't like on point, then it becomes more of a slog. Like I play like I'm playing like certain games right now, and it's like, wow, look at this PS2 map design. And now you just kind of like laugh and shrug it off and whatever. Like, okay, yeah, it's a bunch of rooms and hallways, and you just kind of like run through it because
When they're done well,
it doesn't.
Silent Hill F.
Yeah, again, when you're not stuck in an area for so long, right? But an open world where it's like, okay, it's a bad open world map, and you got to run across it. Now you're feeling the length of it. Because a bad corridor based map, yeah, it's bad, but you just kind of run through and just shrug it off. A bad open world map, I'm running and running or driving and driving, and boy,
Well,
there's really nothing here, is there?
it's just way easier to make a hallways and rooms map more interesting.
Yeah.
Even if you feel somewhat on rails because there's only one path to go, kind of thing. Like it's easier to make those more artistic and
Yeah.
pretty and interesting. And I mean, Resident Evil 7, right? Resident Evil 7 is just hallways and rooms pretty much.
Yeah.
And there's not really like, I'm thinking back on it, there's basically like there's one direction. You move forward pretty much the enther time.
Yeah, and you kind of backtrack, crisscross, whatever.
A little bit, yeah. But like for the most part, you're going, and there's maybe some branching areas, but it's not big open world where you're going from point A to point Z to point B to point F and back to A, and then your ABC, you're following that same serial. It's just much easier to make those maps interesting. It's also a lot of open world games, not all, but a lot of open world games also seem to coincide with the desire for like realism or like grounded open world.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that can be cool, but also not necessarily memorable. Like it's easy to make something accidentally bland, no matter how grand or cool you think it's going to be.
The thing about Monster Hunter, and I think what they kind of
Monster Hunter Wild's having fog and rain most of the time.
Yeah, that was kind of one part of the puzzle thing, or one part of why it doesn't really work. And the other part is that you look at old Monster Hunter, right, and how it used to be like maps. Basically, it was like you just have like these little blobby areas of like you take a biome and there's like 10 different point of interests, right? And on PS2 through the Wii and DS, you would actually go through a little loading. You'd go to the end of a point of interest, and it would just load to the next point of interest, right? And they try to have all these clever ways to sort of like, connect the visually, have like, we're going from here to here. And then with World and with Rise, it was like, instead of loading, you would just go into a bottleneck, and you'd kind of like go into like a shrunk down like canyon area or whatever, and then go to the next point of interest. It doesn't load. And that was good enough, honestly. I feel that was good enough. The point of interest focused maps, why that worked was because when you're designing the map, it's like, okay, we're going to have the basin of a waterfall here. And we get to like hyper design the basin of this point of interest. And then this point of interest is like a narrow bamboo corridor, like in Rise. And so we kind of like hyper accentuate, like, where the god rays or the sunlight rays coming through this, through the bamboo is. And we basically get to like really hyper design this little area, all these little areas. In Wilds, where if things are supposed to generally be way more open and fleshed out, it's like, okay, well then everything's kind of like you have point of interest areas, but you miss out a lot on the like
hyper design,
like the hyper detail. Like they do have areas like that there, but there's a lot of just it kind of just like when you just sort of like you just kind of stretched an image too much almost.
It's hard to curate the experience you're expecting the player to have in an open world, which, again, when an open world's done really well, it's incredible. It's just so hard to do open world really well.
Yeah, and I feel like Capcom even screwed up because of the 5 areas in Wilds, 3 are caves. Like it feels
Right.
like they realized halfway through development this shit doesn't work.
Well, but
So they sort of like scaled back to doing like, okay, we'll do a volcanic cave and an icy cave and like a weird, like almost like alien weird glowy cave. Um
so
almost
it's
I almost
it's all
because I wonder
it's
if they realize this shit isn't working. Um,
right.
let's just put all the shit in caves. So then again, the whole thesis of the game being Monster Hunter Wilds gets lost when 3/5 of the game is underground or seemingly
Well,
feels like it's underground.
let's take a game that I really like that was open world, which is like uh Witcher the Wild Hunt. You know, even then I can remember points of interest like certain spots, but like the general world, other than the one where you go into like Camelot or whatever the hell
Yeah, I know the
that's
big city. I know what you're talking
like
about. Yeah,
that's cool. That's the DLC or whatever. Like the world is cool, but like even that, which I would consider a successful, cool looking world to be in, the things that are most memorable are those hyper curated, very specific spots. You know,
yeah,
and then that company goes on to make one of the blandest, most boring open worlds that should be easy to be cool in Night City. Although, yes, supposedly fixed, and the game is much better now, and it looks super cool, and we're all so excited. It just took 5 extra years, blah blah. Okay, yeah, I've said all the caveats. The point is that when it came out, not only was it a buggy mess, and it was a buggy mess, but Cyberpunk 2077 was also just dead. It was boring. The world
yeah,
felt empty. Night City felt oddly clean and empty. And, you know, it's just like open world, even for a company that murdered it just previously, is really difficult to do well. I
yeah,
mean, you know, hallways, say whatever you want for like hallways and corridors and rooms or whatever. Uh, Resident Evil has been doing it well for a long, long time.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. I
Orc
mean,
is the one
RE4.
open world. Well, RE4 is not open world; it's hub world,
Not at
right?
all. That's the thing is like RE4 is a corridor game. It is a very tightly knit, designed corridor style game. Even when you're outdoors on the village or the island, it's still corridors. So they're very much curating the experience all the way
Right.
through.
I was thinking technically like it's hubs that you go then to specific corridors, you know, like the lake or the
Hmm.
village for some of it. Like there's hub world areas and then but no, I mean I guess technically even those hubs are they themselves corridors.
In a way, yeah.
Um, but really interesting. Yeah. So my disappointment, I don't think is going to be all that surprising. Death Stranding 2. I tried again to restart it and play it. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know. The people who love it seem very adamant that they love it. I've never met a person in person who loves it, but online it is extremely
It's very weird
beloved.
because I mean
Um,
it won no awards
yeah. Well, it was
basically.
forgotten. It was
Um,
basically forgotten.
but when it came time to award season, I was actually surprised at how much I was seeing it pop up. Like in the nomination. Like
Yeah.
it was almost like this, like, oh, this was one of the best. And there was I forget who, I'm sorry, I forget what website. They went out of their way and they reached out to a bunch of different composers to ask musicians, what was your favorite soundtrack? And this Death Stranding 2 got brought up at least a couple times.
Well,
Um,
Kojima picks great music.
yeah.
That's
So it definitely like critically, it felt like there was a contingent of critical game reviewers that really liked this game, and then I think the mass market was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Just
yeah.
kind of like
It came out. It definitely is a game that came out, and I
it
mean I
has to.
bought it. So
It probably has to be Kojima's most low key game release he's ever released. Like
maybe yeah.
I can't think of a major game of his, like with him directing in the director's chair, that felt like this. Yeah, this came out, was good.
There's also just like I don't know what the future holds for him. You know, OD is going to be a thing, but I don't think any of us really understand what that truly is yet. Um, you know,
Although it coming together to look more and more like a PT like experience, that's good.
yeah, yeah, but we just don't know yet exactly what that's going to be. But yeah, it there's potential there. Um, I don't think Death Stranding 2 has put me off Kojima or something. Like I'm not going to get the next
Yeah.
game that he does or something. But it is just like it just it didn't do it for me, and I keep trying.
I've always been weirded out by that whole, well, I guess the franchise, as you could call it now. Like the franchise as a whole, always like it feels like he's trying to do something really artsy and like
Right.
auteur, but
Like an art film
right,
in
it's
the
like the
form,
biggest
yeah.
budget art film. But I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, but why is this fun? And
Well,
even the people who love it can't even explain. It's just like, oh, there's just something really fulfilling about making these deliveries and connecting, making these like putting the bridges down and the ladders and having this like interconnected like online. I'm like, I
yeah.
guess, but the moment to moment gameplay like of just driving or hoofing it, largely uncontested just across the environment. I'm just kind of like, why is this fun?
And something doesn't necessarily have to be fun to be rewarding.
Yeah, suppose.
But it is one of those things where like I'm sort of baffled by it. It just feels like it is again. It's it's one of those things where you're like saying it's not for me is literally the most accurate thing I can say. It just isn't for me. This one's not for me. I don't know. Like the fact that it has a broadish following when I can't see the broad appeal to the game.
Mhm.
Uh, I I want to like it.
Mm.
I want to like it. I like the aesthetics of it in a lot of ways. I like the music. The batshit story, like all of his batshit stories, I sort of found intriguing. But the more I dug into
The
it,
guano is good. The
yeah,
guano is a Gouda.
but yeah, that's my biggest disappointment. In terms of like game, I didn't expect to stick with me as much as it has this year. Um, to where I just like I think about it and I think about it's mostly the art style. I mean, the gameplay was very fun. And it had a nostalgia to it, even though the gameplay is not the same as the old games. Is Shinobi Art of Vengeance? Like,
Oh, Shinobi's so good.
yeah, I keep thinking about that, and especially the art. I just like that game looked so good, and it still looks good. Um,
Have you beaten it?
yeah, yeah. Um, I will say, like it has a very Sega story to it. I mean, you're playing a guy named Joe Musashi, but
Yeah.
um, for anyone that hasn't beaten it, spoilers. I found the right hand man boss. I'm blanking on his name. The guy with the sword through his chest.
Yeah.
I found him way more interesting of a fight than the final boss, who uses.
Mm.
I'm blanking on his. He uses like Death Scythe or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh, for some reason, the final boss I didn't have nearly the things that I had a hard time on. Just like the old Shinobi game, was not the stuff that I expected to have a hard time on.
Hmm.
A lot of the platforming, the parts that seemed like they should be easy, took me like I don't know 100 friggin' tries to figure it out. Maybe more, honestly. There were moments where I was screaming, especially in the kaiju level, in the level where you're like inside the octopus thing.
Oh, that guy. Yeah.
There were just like timing things that pissed me the hell off. But um, you know, none of that reminds me of the gameplay of the originals because it's just so much faster. I
Yeah.
mean, this one's
This one
maybe I'm
doesn't really.
misremembering, but
No, it doesn't really play like the originals.
yeah, I mean, this is an action platformer, and the originals were just like a platformer where occasionally you killed guys,
Yeah,
kind of.
more or less. Like things died in one hit in the original. You just throw a little, like you throw a throwing knife or shuriken or whatever they're called. A kunai. You just throw kunai, guy dies. That's it. That's all there is to it.
And this is like great action game. I think that like that's all good, not necessarily what's sticking with me. The stuff that's sticking with me is just like I keep thinking about the art style, and I keep thinking about how much I enjoyed the art.
Mm.
Oddly, it also had pretty good voice acting. Like it had pretty solid voice acting in it.
Yeah, especially Joe Musashi.
Yeah.
Here's a funny thing. He says one word in the game.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, and if you checked on the credits, that's Takanobu Mitsuyoshi.
Really?
So yeah, Mr. Daytona, let's go away. That's him as Joe Musashi.
Hell yeah.
So all the grunts and whatever, and that one word he says at the end, that's all from the guy who just belts out Daytona.
Now I love the voice acting even more. But yeah, I knew I was going to like have fun with the game, but I did not realize that like that would be the game that I kept like thinking about. But also my game of year last year was a platformer. Maybe I'm just having like nostalgia for older styles of games.
Yeah.
I like one of the games that I missed out on that I didn't play this year that I thought I was going to play is, the Invalus Chronicles, the Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah, Tic Tacs.
Tic Tacs. And I think maybe I'm just like oddly starting to crave older gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel old and weird.
I don't know. There's a beauty in something that kind of realizes, how valuable your time is.
Well, older games are more fun.
Well, yeah, they're right to the point.
Yeah, they are just like I think it's also because older games, the gameplay came first.
Yeah.
Like the loop came first. That's what they put the most time and effort into. And then the story was kind of like an afterthought. And now I'm a story guy, love story. But now they're competing. A lot of games are competing for that same place that films and TV shows have.
I think
storytelling being a storytelling forward medium instead of.
Frankly, I think there's another thing where games are falling into the same trap that big movies are, where everything is living for that, like that twist turn, that oh shit moment. Everyone, I don't know what you call it. It doesn't have to necessarily be a twist, but it has to be the oh shit, the go for turning its head, dun dun dun. Like everyone. Game stories are always looking for that oh my god moment, like that at that moment he realized. Everyone's looking for that sort of oh shit moment,
right?
And they're trying to do that constantly in games. They're trying to do that constantly in movies. Like it's almost infuriating to like watch like a comic book movie now, because everything is about like the big key moments. I guess key moments. Yeah, I think that's the word for it. Everyone's looking for your big key moments, and it's almost like. It's like bad anime where it's just like keyframes. Yeah, like what's clippable. Like everything is just all right. Get the keyframes in. Like animate these 10 seconds. Don't animate the rest of the 20 minutes. Kind of thing. Where it's just like
there's 5 minutes of the show where it's just a close up of the faces they think.
Yeah. So the gaming stories are doing that a lot now, where everyone's trying to just like have like how many oh shit moments can we cram into this? Into the story. It's living for like these big key moments, and there's nothing fulfilling in the middle of that. And I think that's something good storytelling has. I think it's something a lot of films and games have kind of lost, where it's just kind of like, do you remember how fun a good movie is going to keep you entranced from like start to finish? And like, I really don't want to get off on this tangent, but like, they're not great movies, but not being based on anything, and just he is still a master of pacing, even despite the length. You can watch the Avatar movies, and as long as you're paying a little bit of attention, they do a pretty good job of keeping you entertained, even when they're just learning how to ride a creature. Right. And that was like, can we cut out some of this shit? And it's like, no, you can't cut out some. And the audience eat that up. Like some of the I'm just living in this world moments in James Cameron's Avatar works. Because there's a good filmmaker will basically learn how to make moving across the map fun. Just the walk, not point A, not point B, but from point A to B is interesting. Like I guess something that maybe people who don't have like as much of a to get away from like bitter bias, whatever. Lord of the Rings, you're interested, you're intrigued. It's a movie of people like going from point A to B for most of that 12-hour trilogy, but it's interesting.
They do Death Stranding better than Death Stranding did.
Right, exactly. And I think that's what a lot of games and movies kind of are missing the point, where they're like, you need to make, a good movie is going to keep you entranced from like start to finish. And like, You need to make the walking along the road interesting, not just getting to the destination
So there's
interesting.
this. This is again a tangent, but it's exactly what you're talking about. There's this mentality of second screens that has sort of become pervasive in movies and TV shows, mostly because of Netflix. So where they will like have like a and some characters are talking and then there's the moment. So
Yeah.
you glance up from your phone and you watch the moment, and you get the gist. You get the gist of everything important in the show. And then you look, and you're going to watch a YouTube video tomorrow that's going to explain, why it's important and all the
Oh
things
my
that you
god, the
missed and
media
that kind of shit.
literacy is so dead. Can I just go on a tangent where, or apparently, okay, you are old enough to know this. Half of Twitter was shocked at this, and I'm not going to oust him, but if you're watching the streams, you know who also was surprised at this revelation. People were shocked to learn that Joe Pesci is the cop at the beginning of Home Alone as well as the Wet Bandit. I'm like, holy fuck, guys! Like, what? How did nobody? You didn't pick up on this. Like half of Twitter didn't. I'm like, this media literacy is really dead. Because like there's the whole crux of the movie where he looks at Kevin, he smiles, he has a gold tooth. The gold tooth shines with the post-processing effect. Halfway through the movie, when Kevin almost gets run over by them, he says, all right, Merry Christmas, smiles at him, shines, gold tooth. And that's the moment in the middle of the movie Kevin realizes that the bandit is the cop. It's like, this was not a fucking secret, guys. How are you? It's Joe. It's Joe
Joe Pesci.
Pesci. Like,
Wait,
like, fuck. Like we're so doomed as a society. I'm like, this was not a gotcha moment. This was not even a revelation. This was like, duh.
plain rule of three ass. Well, all right, that's upsetting. All right, so what was like your game that stuck with you? You didn't expect it to stick with you, but it like
Shinobi's a good one. Absalom is probably a really big one that stuck with me really well. A Pirate Yakuza was amazing start to finish. Had a great time. My game of the year.
Yeah.
But like I was kind of like when the first trailer from Pirate Yakuza, I was like, ooh, I was like already kind of like, yeah, I'm pretty excited. The fact that it met and sort of exceeded expectations is great, but Absalom came out of nowhere and was like, oh fuck, this is like my number 2 game of the year.
Really? I don't think we even talk about Absalom.
I don't know. It's Sega's Golden Axe, whatever they're doing for their Golden Axe Survival is in so much fucking trouble because this game is the greatest fucking beat 'em up ever made.
Oh, right. We did talk about this. Yes.
So, yeah. I don't know what you're going to do. Whoever's making that Golden Axe game at Sega, you may want to like go back to the drawing board. Because you have such a high, insane bar to clear now. So good luck.
Yeah, this looks great. I don't know why I'm gonna have to add this to the games I missed. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Final Fantasy Tactics, and now Absalom.
Absalom, you'll like Absalom for sure. Metroid Prime 4, that was a big surprise game for me. And really? I'll be real, because so many certain subsection of the loud vocal internet is so angry with this game, and I'm just like, I'll give you this: terrible Metroid game, absolutely terrible Metroid game. Like doesn't do anything Metroid games are supposed to do at all. But as a sci-fi adventure game, kind of liked it. Pretty good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the atmosphere and the music. I enjoyed like the story. Kind of like I enjoyed like this time was because it wasn't a Metroid game. Like I actually enjoyed the more guided experience. It made scanning and digging into the files and reading the backstory of what happened to this planet kind of like interesting because it's basically about a planet where the sentient life forms tried to hyper accelerate evolution and terraforming and fucked it all up.
Nice.
And it was fun. It was neat. It made, for me, it was a better use of scanning and stuff when you're not in a Metroid style thing, when it is a more linear experience. Actually, I think worked better for the storytelling, scanning, kind of lore building. So I enjoyed it. As long as you go in knowing it's not a Metroid game in any way, shape, or form. Like, sure. And I think you might, and a lot of people have shared the sentiment too. I'm like, you know what? I actually really like this game. Is it perfect? God, no. Does it have issues? Many.
So when you say it's not a Metroid game at all, it's because it doesn't have like puzzles and
Yeah, it doesn't really have puzzles. The world's not interconnected. It's Ocarina style,
oh,
like
okay.
a big central empty desert hub, and then you just go from there to the other zones, and then you just kind of like go to the end of the zone, and then get to the boss, and then leave.
Not enough
Um,
ball time. Doesn't
there's a
count as
little
Metroid
bit,
because you
but I
don't get
mean,
enough balls.
and, there's so much vaginal imagery in the game, though, because you know how like Giger's all about like dicks.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and
there's so
vaginas,
many
yeah,
corridors and
both.
doors. Like you get these doors where there's like these weird like oval things, and there's like this little nub, and you have to like use your psychic abilities to rub the nub down to open the door on this. If Georgia O'Keeffe was a sci-fi artist, uh,
A whole generation of gamers that won't have the
which
same problems as their fathers.
Metroid is directly influenced by Alien and H.R. Giger, so I think it's only fair that a game that is there's always been about a strong female protagonist should have a bunch of lack of a better term, vaginal imagery in its weird space corridors. It feels appropriate.
Okay.
So,
I can get behind that. He says.
weirdly enough, but no, I actually enjoyed the game. It was actually a lot of fun. It was nice to see a huge budget Nintendo game, which they just don't do. So yeah, those were surprises. I think the other thing to look back on in 2025 is, holy shit, acquisitions, Batman.
Yes,
because like Activision is already sort of a kickoff. Ubisoft isn't, but is. Ubisoft's in this weird like we're maybe fracturing our company, but also in selling chunks of it to Tencent, maybe not. Like we don't really know. Ubisoft's in a weird position. EA got bought by Saudi Arabia, joining SNK.
Yeah.
Embracer, stopped gobbling stuff up, but there's almost nothing left to gobble up. 2K tried to buy Perfect Dark off Microsoft when Microsoft pulled an Eric Cartman and said, screw you guys, I'm going home. So
yeah, and with no intention to do anything with it anyway. They just don't want to. They just don't want to give up any IP.
Yeah, so we're in this weird thing, and that kind of brings me to I was gonna tell you about like the crazy weird thing that's happening over across the way in Japan. So this got headlines a little bit ago because there was a big investment partner of Square Enix that put out this 100-page slideshow talking about how upset they were with the company. And they were pulling a bunch of just like, forum quotes and like YouTube comments about people are not upset or people are not happy with the way your games are progressing or the games you're releasing.
The NFTs?
No, this is not that. So
wasn't the NFTs that made you mad? No, okay, sir.
So it went from 7.73%. This is from per Dr. Circantoto, and then, but I mean, this is public information. A Singapore-based activist investor called 3D Investment Partners. They made this big old a stink of a slideshow, basically trying to rile up other investors to basically tell Square to Enix to get their shit together. And then middle of December, they bought in 15.40, but now it's up to 16.48%.
So they're doing a hostile takeover,
right? They own this. They own the second. They're the second highest amount. The president of, the Enix founder Yasuhiro Fukushima owns 19% of the. He is the largest shareholder of Square Enix. Is Enix's founder, and he has 19.7%. This company, 3D investment, 3D Investment Partners, they own 16.48, and that's of today. Because this has been happening within the last week or two. They've just been buying more and more and more and more shares, and they're the ones who made waves a month ago with this weird campaign to other investors about how they're angry with Square and how it's
did they make good points?
They made stupid points because it's like they made points on like you have no idea how game development works. You're just upset that Square isn't like raking in the dough constantly.
Oh, they're
basically
mad.
saying,
They're mad that Square isn't maximizing profit, not that Square isn't doing anything with its myriad of IP. Or
well, they say that, but for the purpose of you're not maximizing your profits by not doing anything with the myriad of IP. Although they're not really, it's not really myriad of IP, more just kind of like why aren't you making better product? Why aren't you doing kind of,
make better games, assholes.
so
Try.
why would they? Because 16% is way more than enough to start like making commanding like moves. And that's the thing. It's not even like a lot of shareholders, they just own stock in a company and they're like, like, they just buy shares and like they expect it to go up, and when it doesn't go up, they'll like show up once a year and be like, why aren't shares going up? This company made a fucking college thesis about what they should be doing.
Yeah,
So
it's like they have a vested interest.
they have a vested interest. So there's two possible reasons. One is to push for big changes, get people all riled up, force Square to make a bunch of like big decisions or whatever, get a temporary boost on their stock price, sell it. And then when all of these like initiatives that they basically hyper like pushed Square into making and they don't pan out, but they temporarily boosted the stock that they had sold off, pump and dump it. That is one possible reason for it. The other, and then that leaves Square hollowed out,
Or they're going to try and have Square get sold.
That's
so
mine, and that's what I thought.
Out.
So I've explained this. So this is some Scott Steiner math here. Now these numbers I'm going to tell you are hypothetical. These are not the numbers. These are not the value of the company, not the value of its overall well. But let me just bear with me here. Pretend, if you will. Pretend Square Enix is worth $30 billion, right? And you somehow have bought your way into 20% of the shares, right? So you have $6 billion worth of shares in Square Enix at $30 billion, right? 20%. You are pushing Square. You're doing this hostile takeover bid. Why? To sell the company. Why do you want to sell the company? Because you want a company to come in and buy your shares off you, right?
Right.
So you want the cash out because you have $6 billion in shares, which is funny money. It's hypothetical. You don't technically have $6 billion. You have $6 billion if you could immediately find someone to buy all those shares and give you that money. But who's going to do that, right?
Yeah, and as you sell, if you do big sales, the price goes down. You won't get $6 billion.
Right. So here's the thing. So you want Square Enix to be bought, but here's the problem. When you sell a whole company like Square Enix, you have to overvalue them. And the traditional rule of thumb is you have to basically, if someone's going to buy a company outright, like for example, when Activision was bought out by Microsoft, and some of the other like big acquisitions, they had to buy the company at double its value.
Yeah, you pump the value as much as you can.
Right. So in other words, Square Enix is worth $30 billion. Right. You have 20%, you have $6 billion. You want the company to get bought and someone to buy your shares off you for $6 billion, but that can't happen. Why? Because that means you have to sell Square for $60 billion. Double what it's worth. Nobody's going to do that. That's too much money. So what do? You get high enough, you literally devalue the company. You force the company to basically make big decisions, lose a bunch of money. Why on earth would you do that? Because you lower Square Enix's value from 30 billion to 20 billion. This is part of why this is why people who used to work for them at IDOS Montreal said they were doing it. Like, why did they sell Montreal? Why they sell all of IDOS off for like, pennies on the dollar kind of thing? And they're like, because they're looking to sell. This is the only thing we can think of. And I think that's honestly true. They sold off a huge chunk of their company and their IPs to devalue themselves. So you go from 30 billion to 20 billion. Now you only have
you're shooting for 40 billion.
Right. So now you only have $4 billion. But so the company's only worth $20 billion. You now only have $4 billion in shares at 20, because you own 20%. But guess what? Now the company's worth 40 billion to buy. Now it costs 40 billion to buy Square instead of 60. Someone bites at 40 billion, right? Say Tencent,
so you presumably get 8 billion instead of 6.
You get 8 billion instead of 6. So now you've devalued the company. got someone who's like, okay, well, I'll buy them at 40 billion, but I ain't spending 60. They bought the company, bought your shares at $40 billion, which is more than 30 at 8. Like you said, you now just walked away with $8 billion. You had 6, but when at the start of this story, when it was worth 30 billion, you had a hypothetical $6 billion worth of shares.
Right.
You get in, you force a bunch of changes, because that's like when you own 20% of the company, you have like
yeah, you can force all sorts of decisions.
You can force all kinds of decisions. You devalue the company intentionally, sell them off, and the sell-off price nets you more money than you had before you devalued them. And then some people are like, how the fuck is this legal? And I'm like, haha, welcome to end game capitalism. So
yeah, this is how it goes.
And
wow,
here's the scary thing. That's happening in fucking real time right now. Like a 3D investment partner is very upset with the company, very much wants them to do what they what they tell them to do, and they have a 100-page slide for it, and they're actively, as we speak, buying up as many shares of the company as they can.
Saudi Arabia is going to buy that company too.
Well, it's a Singapore-based company right now, but yeah, who are they going to sell to? My guess would be they would sell to Tencent. I think Tencent would probably buy Square. That'd be my guess. If I were to guess any major company. And again, I don't think Square's even worth 30 billion. I don't think they're even worth that much right now, even with all their music label and all that. I think they're worth like 20. I think last time I remember seeing or looking it up, it was worth like 24. I don't know. I'm scared to use Google, but because of all the AI bullshit. But yeah, like what are they worth? 10 billion, something like that is what I'm getting. Just on a quick overview here.
Yeah, the point is though is that they'll try to pump up the value, sell for higher. They're clearly trying to make it enticing to buy.
Yeah, they're either trying to pump the value of the company up and sell. Like that's the one way. Just get the stock price up and then sell it, like pump and dump.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're trying to get a full corporate buyout and then someone buy out their shares for more than they're worth by crashing the company, selling them for more than they're worth, and then getting that payout. So that's that's pretty scary to think about. But welcome to publicly traded companies.
2026 is going to be just so interesting. And we're on the cusp. The tip is prepared. My last thing for it at 57 minutes. Games that I spent so much time playing this year that I would not have expected eating up most of my playtime. Western RPGs, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Avowed, and Outer Worlds 2. What's funny about that is I didn't play the one that I played the most ended up being Outer Worlds 2, and I played that on PlayStation because I got rid of Game Pass. I'm not, if it's on PlayStation, I'll get it. I'm not going to bother having a Microsoft system anymore. I guess, I have the PC. I guess that's technically a Microsoft system, but
sure.
Yeah, Western RPGs. I did a lot of Western RPGs this year. Any games that you were shocked that you spent that much time on it besides Arc Raiders?
I didn't even spend that much time on Arc Raiders, to be honest. Probably Peak.
Peak, really?
I probably spent way more time on Peak than I thought I would.
That seems like that's a pretty solid one. That's not a multiplayer game though, is it?
Oh, it is. Oh yeah.
Peak?
Oh yeah.
I'm not thinking of the right
Peak
game.
is definitely multiplayer. Peak is an experienced multiplayer.
I am not thinking. Oh, this is the one where you climb together and
yeah. I mean, you can actually play it solo, and it's actually not like crazy hard.
Well, you spent all that time on this because Steve would only half pay attention, and you guys would fall.
Oh, he lost interest in this game hard, but like me and I got up, me and some dude drawing and Nadia and Al Zero and others like Nico, we played a lot of Peak and I was able to like reach the end a few times, so I haven't really gone back, but they do keep adding different biomes and different like things that could haunt you, not haunt you, but like they added like I think they added like wildlife now that could trample you or eat you or something. Like they just keep adding stuff to it, which is kind of heartwarming to see. I'm like, okay, cool. The thing I don't like about the game is that it's procedurally generated every day. It's every 24 hours they read redo the island, and it's not handcrafted. It's just it's like Diablo 1 or Diablo 2, procedurally generated worlds where like it's just a bunch of assets that just cobble themselves together to make a path. And basically what that means is some days you'll play the game and the map fucking sucks.
Oh yeah, it's just like cobbled together crap.
Pretty cool. Some days it's really cool and it's like it's fun and you find some cool pathways up, and then sometimes you'll just get like, oh, this map just sucks.
Yeah, there's no curation to it.
No curation. And the thing is, people crave randomness though, and that's the appeal. So I don't really know what the answer is. I think maybe they could do in an update where maybe the aggro crab could go in and curate the hand design like a number, like maybe like a few different maps, like and be like, okay, like we're gonna handcraft like a certain maps to make like a curated. Here is a a handcrafted map made by the developers to go through. Like that'll just kind of be there on the menu. You could just optionally choose that or go with the random one of the day. I think I would like that very much if they could put some curated maps in there. Maybe make it like a speedrunning contest.
I mean, the appeal of the random one of the day is what kind of nonsense are you going to run into?
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of dig that,
Right, I get it. That's like the point of the game, but it also, to me, it's both the fun and the frustration of it. Where it's like, God, sometimes it's like, well, today's chalked. Like maybe it'll come back tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow will be a better map.
All right, closing thought. 2026, you think it'll be positive for the industry? You're going to be negative?
I think Valve's probably definitely wondering what the hell they're going to do about their Steam machine. I think maybe with the RAM prices and stuff. I think 2026 is going to be digging our heels in, like get in, guys. Like we're in this for the long haul kind of a year where, I think people are just going to be like, all right, well, we're not talking about next gen nothing now. Like now it's just maximize the most you can get. And frankly, like the PS5 and a Series X, they're powerful systems and they're not being the Switch 2 is way more powerful than people give it credit for. And I blame Nintendo a bit on this because most of their games are not, none of their games are really pushing the hardware at fucking all. Not even Mario Kart or Donkey Kong are really they started as Switch 1 games. Like they're not pushing the hardware. Nintendo themselves has not pushed the hardware. Ubisoft and Cyberpunk pushed the hardware of the Switch. Like Capcom has got RE9 day and date and Pragmata day and date on it. The system's way more capable than people think. And that's a good thing because the Switch 2 is going to be around for a fucking long time at this point.
I think, well, my soft prediction for next year is that Microsoft is going to shrink even more in the gaming sphere. And it's going to be Nintendo Switch 2's year. I think we're going to...
I hope so. I feel like the first 6 months of the Switch 2 are also kind of personally.
Yeah, I don't think this year went the way that they thought it was going to go. I think this next year is when you're really going to see them kick it up a notch.
Yeah, and I think fighting games are going to be in a wild time next year, because
yes,
I think
true.
It's what, end of March or end of April. I think it's end of April. Invincible Versus comes out, and it's sort of like a game. Everyone who gets their hands on it really loves it. I've gotten my hands on it many times now. It's really good. Like, I think this is going to be, it's going to be a game much like Avatar where people are going to be surprised. I think Tokon has already begun the process of, this isn't what we thought it was. So I think Invincible and Avatar are going to be people's champions next year. I think, strangely, I think the biggest budgeted, prettiest fighting games of Tokon and frankly, the console launch of 2XKO, I think there's going to be a, what do you call it when like honeymoon's over for both of those games, like real quick.
Oh, well, I mean, I wouldn't call it a come to Jesus moment, but it's definitely going to be like a wake up moment.
Yeah, I think I don't know. 2XKO's in a weird spot just because like they have a decent amount of characters now, but like the fact that game has no single player content, period, and still doesn't have any announced
The
single
fall
player
off
content
is going to be hard on it.
oof, like console's going to be like it's next month, January is when it goes out on console, and it's probably going to give it a little bit of a boost. But man, that game is killers only, unfortunately already. And Marvel Tokon, I think it's a beautiful game, but it's basically an arena fighter disguised as a versus fighter. And I think it's gonna. I think, man, unless and I don't think anything drastic's happening to Tokon. Again, I've been telling people I don't think this is not a Wolverine budget sized game. This is not a huge priority for Sony.
Yeah, I maybe it'll sell well enough that it's going to shock Sony into deciding to commit more resources to it, but I don't think as it stands, I'm not expecting.
Yeah, I think as pretty as it is, and it's going to sell fine. I don't think the sales are going to be. If anything, I think the long-term viability of Tokon not going to be there. I worry about 2XKO, but I think from the competitive side, from the long-term side, I truly do believe Invincible Versus and Avatar Legends are going to have a longer competitive shelf life.
Yeah, they're going to have staying power.
A longer scene. There's going to be a scene for those games in a way that Tokon and 2XKO just aren't going to have, because 2XKO again is going to be killers only, and there's going to be nothing there for casuals. And Tokon is like so hyper fixated on casuals that the competitive side is just going to be like, they already are kind of like done with the game. So there's my fighting game prediction for next year, is that like Avatar and 2, like the small guys are going to be the ones that stick around. The smaller budget games, like the smaller, what have you. Like,
for right, we'll come back. We'll make a clip of us being super right.
I hope so, because goddamn, that Avatar Legends game is so fun. That game was so fun to play.
On that note, we have patrons to thank. If you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week was Queasy Jam. Thank you, Queasy Jam. And our producers for this episode are Dragon Wolf Makoto, Donglemeister, Zybernite, Tech Turtle, Scrunami, LCL Mayhem, and Ziggy Z. Thank you, dudes. We'll catch you next time. We'll catch you next year.
Next year.